Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're gonna be speaking on an Atlanta inmate that dug a hole through the wall to get at a rival gang member in the cell block next door. March 15th, Fulton County Sheriffs would target Atlanta's largest jail facility in a joint operation with the Georgia Department of Corrections. More than 200 officers raided the jail, including members of the SWAT team, Sheriff Strike Team, Gang Unit, Department of Corrections Tactical Team, and canines. Armed with pepper ball rifles, grenade launchers, tasers, and pepper spray, officers pushed through the facility, recovering over 200 homemade knives along with drugs and cell phones. The facility would be described as dilapidated as inmates used plumbing and cinder blocks from the crumbling walls to create gladiator-like weapons. Deemed impossible to maintain or repair, the inmates within Fulton County's jail have no choice but to live in its dying conditions, and one inmate chose to take full advantage. May 17th, just 2 months after the jail sweep, 24-year-old Kavian Thomas did the unthinkable. The 6'2" inmate was able to dig a hole through the shower wall large enough for him to pass through. But this wasn't a jail escape. On the other side of the wall was another cell block where a rival gang member resided. He'd apparently been bragging about the crime he's alleged to have committed. Word traveled through the jail walls before Kavian literally traveled through a jail wall armed with a prison shank. He'd rush into the rival gang member's cell, repeatedly stabbing him, and the attack is alleged to have been recorded by another inmate with a cell phone. The victim, 17-year-old Rodney Russell, was stabbed multiple times in his upper body before being taken to the medical unit, where his wounds were determined to be superficial. The stabbing would result in another shakedown, targeting the two cell blocks as officers recovered several homemade weapons. With word of the stabbing quickly making its way to the streets, those on social media alleged why it happened, with some even celebrating the news. Rodney, who's more commonly known as Lil Rodney, was one of 6 teens arrested in connection to a fatal shooting. November 26, 2022. It was 8 p.m. when Atlanta police responded to 17th Street in reference to multiple people shot. Upon arrival, officers located 12-year-old Zion Charles dead at the scene with a gunshot wound to the head. 15-year-old Cameron Jackson was also found with a gunshot to the head, and while unresponsive, he was still alive. 4 other teens have been shot but were in stable condition as officers began investigating what took place. Speaking with an off-duty officer and Atlantic Station security guards, they stated they'd escorted a group of minors away from the train station for disorderly behavior. Something then caused the situation to escalate, resulting in gunfire on 17th Street a block away. Cameron Jackson would be treated at Grady Hospital, where it was determined the 15-year-old was brain dead after a bullet entered the back of his head without exiting. 3 days after the shooting, he'd be pronounced dead, and on November 30th, investigators would determine he was the intended target of the shooting without stating why. His mother would speak with the news in the days that followed.
I homeschooled Cameron so that I could make sure that Cameron was, the best student that he could be. And I have his coach here with me. Cameron has been boxing since he was 9. And we would take him to boxing like every day. This is not about Cameron. This is not about that other little kid. This is about all of our children. Listening to the other mother speak about not having the resources. In my situation, we had all the resources. But the one thing that we were unable to deal with was the community, the environment, the city. And that right there is something that I'm committed to transforming in Atlanta.
While speaking highly of her son and condemning the community, one can only wonder why a 15-year-old boxer with all the resources to succeed would be targeted and gunned down. But a closer look into Cameron's life outside the gym would reveal an entirely different lifestyle than the one shared by his mother. Cameron was more commonly known as Lil Cam, and on his own Instagram, he could be seen posing with a variety of guns, including a story post of him riding in the passenger seat armed with a Glock with an extended magazine. Now, while Georgia has some of the most relaxed gun laws in the country, Lil Cam had turned 15 just weeks before his death, and no law allows a 14-year-old to carry handguns. But aside from the weapons, it's alleged his blood relation to his older brother is the reason for his murder. Lil Cam was the younger brother of none other than Jeree Jackson Jr., who's more commonly known as 25-year-old Atlanta rapper Ola Run. The rapper, who spent 5 years in prison and was released in 2018, began quickly gaining attention in the city, and in 2020 was even sent a 1017 chain, leading many to believe he was signing to Gucci, who he hadn't even met. The $1 million deal never went through, and later that year, Ola Runt would be one of 12 arrested by the FBI in Operation Phoenix. He'd be indicted by the feds after being found in possession of an FN-57 pistol loaded with 21 rounds, and after a guilty plea, he'd be sentenced to 57 months in federal prison. It's unlikely the sentencing of 57 months had anything to do with the FN-57, but goddamn what a coincidence. It's believed Lil Cam was targeted because of who his brother is and his brother's alleged gang affiliation. A total of 6 teens would be arrested for the murder of Lil Cam and the death of 12-year-old Zion, even though Zion was part of the group that killed Cam. Zion was known as Lil Hot, and while his friends fired at Cam's group, one of Lil Hot's friends accidentally fired a bullet into the back of his head, which exited his face and killed him instantly. It was a reckless hit, gone all the way wrong, and done by kids, as the suspects are aged between 14 and 17. Lil Rodney can be seen in a photo with Lil Hot, and it's alleged Lil Rodney was bragging about killing Cam while in jail. What Rodney didn't know was an alleged affiliate of Ola Runt was right next door in the cell block. Kavian Thomas, who's more commonly known as Draco, is said to have stabbed Lil Rodney as get back for Cam. And not only that, it's alleged that while Rodney was getting stabbed, he'd cry out that he didn't do it and name the actual killer. All of this is alleged to have been recorded on video by a cell phone within the jail, but the video has yet to be released. It's unclear if Draco meant to punish Rodney or torture him until he found out who actually killed Cam. But his determination in digging through a fucking jail wall to get to a rival gang member will go down in Atlanta jail history. Now this story was deep. I seen it hit the blogs. Inmate digs a hole through a wall to stab somebody. I tapped in with somebody from Atlanta to get the scoop on what happened behind the scenes. 14 to 17 years old. That was the age of those arrested. If Zion didn't die, it would have been 12 to 17. And because it was a sloppy hit, this 12-year-old got shot in the back of his head because his homeboy was behind him firing at Cam. This is the reality of gangbanging. There's no age limit. Once you do something that's irreversible, like murder somebody, nobody cares how old you are, bro. You could hit a state prison at 18 years old and get took out by a 40-year-old because you killed his nephew on the street. Age doesn't matter. No one's gonna look at you, your size. No one's gonna spare none of that. You can get hit by the biggest dude on the yacht, or you could get hit by the smallest. It doesn't matter. But this is the reality of the lifestyle and what it brings with it. You can't just blame the community. You gotta have accountability at the same side. We gotta hold each other accountable. If I see my 15-year-old little brother wilding out, I'm partly responsible for what he's doing because I can step in and intervene. I'm not gonna, oh, he's 15, he's a grown man. Hell nah. You gotta step in. That 12-year-old little boy that was running around with 17-year-olds, that shouldn't have happened. That's crazy. A 12-year-old doing a hit with a 17-year-old. And he dies in the process. Let me know y'all's thoughts and comments in the comments section. Rest in peace to the victims. It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. Till next time.